Well, it was a step taken to gain knowledge. I mean, I moved to the United States to study music at the tertiary level. I went to Florida State University for my bachelor's degree, and then I went to Juilliard in New York for my master's degree. And yeah, moving to the US I mean, it's a culture shock. No matter where you're moving from, the United States of America is a very strange culture if you're coming from somewhere else, right? It's different. But also within the United States, there's so many different cultures. You have the culture of the Southeast, you have the culture of the Southwest, you have the culture of the Midwest, you have the culture of the Northeast, you have the culture of the Northwest. And they're all very different in a sense, but they're all similar. And so having to navigate that, when I moved to Tallahassee, Florida. So my first introduction to the US living was the Deep South, even though before that I had been to the US many times, specifically to the Northeast, New York, Boston. And so, yeah, it's a different thing. You have to deal with weather change. So your body has to adapt. You have to deal with people not understanding you. So you have to sometimes change the way you speak, or as we call code switch. You also have to dress differently, depending on what cultures are accepting. You might have to speak differently if you come from a culture of. I mean, I remember the first time I came back from the U.S. after I spent a summer in Boston or Berkeley, and I remember I came home and immediately I had a lot more profanity in my language because at the time teenagers were very nonchalantly throwing in f-bombs here, etc. And so that was something that my friends and my family noticed as soon as I got back home. So yeah, I mean, you moving to the US is it's something that I think moving to any culture different to the one you were raised in is there are challenges to it, but there are also blessings to it. I mean, I don't think I would have had the career I have as a musician without having spent significant amount of time in my quote unquote youth here. And but yeah, I mean the connections, the blessings, it's but also it made me way more appreciative and knowledgeable about where I'm from, because once you leave home, there are things about home that you took for granted or you may not have known about that you might want to know about, and then you start doing research. You start asking questions. The conversations that you have with your relatives and family members changes once you've left home and started dealing with different things. And so for me, it was a I wouldn't say it was a traumatizing experience like some people have had. I mean, luckily I grew up speaking English. English was my first language. So I didn't have the language barrier like many people do when they move to the United States. But yeah, culture shock, going from a place where many people look like me to go into a place where most people don't look like me. In my classroom, most people are either of African or Indian descent when I was growing up in Trinidad. And then I moved to the US and I'm the only black person in the classroom. So, things like that, things that you have to navigate, but that it's all part of growth.